Hello everyone, welcome to free crash course for competitive exams held by Virat Hindustan Sangam in association with Manifest IAS Bengaluru. This program is inspired by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy and is convened by Ravi Shankar sir, State Education Convener for VHS Karnataka branch. I am the chief mentor of your program. So I have been mentoring aspirants for competitive exams for past 5 years. So we are negotiating the geography part of your syllabus. World physical geography is done and we are talking about the India physical geography. You can watch this program online on the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam. On the YouTube channel of Virat Hindustan Sangam, and also for any further queries, any doubts, you can get in touch with our Telegram channel VHS Education Forum. Okay. So we were talking about in the last class we were talking about the topography of India. So in the topography, when we speak about the topography, we have the Deccan Plateau, we were talking about the Peninsular Plateau region. We discussed about the Himalayan mountains and we are talking about the Peninsular Plateau. In that we discussed about the Karnataka Plateau, Deccan Plateau and also the northeastern plateau, that is the northeastern region, Karbi Anglong and Meghalaya Plateau. So we will today talk about the deserts of India, that is Indian desert, the Great Indian Desert, also called as the Thar Desert, right? So where is this desert located? So the Indian desert is located in the northwestern part of Aravallis. So here, somewhere here is the Aravalli mountain. The northwest part of your Jaisalmer and all those regions is the Thar Desert region, right? So it is called as the Great Indian Desert. So what do you find in this desert? So as we discussed in the World Physical Geography, you will find the longitudinal dunes. Dunes and burchens. Burchens are what? Burchens are dunes in this form. Parabolic form. Parabolic dunes and burchens. You will find also you have longitudinal dunes. So I have discussed what is a longitudinal dune, what is a transverse dune in the World Physical Geography. So longitudinal, the sand, accumulation of sand, deposition of sand in this form, in the longitudinal form is the longitudinal dune, right? So in this Indian desert region, you find very low vegetation. So you might hardly find the cactus and all those crops or vegetation which are very less dependent on water. They can save water in their stem. So if you remove the cactus, you will see there is lot of water stored in it. So those kind of plants only you will be finding in this region. So and this region is called also a arid region, very less rainfall and very dry region, right? So this Thar Desert is also called as a Marustali. In India it is called as Marustali. So what is the topography of this desert? If you talk about the topography, so there is accumulation of sand, deposition of sand is there. Below the sand you will find the extension of Peninsular Plateau. That is, see, this Peninsular Plateau is extended till here, right? But that plateau is covered by sand in the Thar Desert region. So you will find the Peninsular Plateau up to here, but it is covered over by the sand, right? So this desert is found because of the physical weathering. So physical weathering, I have discussed the mechanical weathering part in World Physical Geography. So it is formed out of physical weathering and also wind action. So wind is the geomorphic agent or the agent which takes the sand from one place and deposits at other place. So that is the geomorphic agent in the desert region, right? So what type of topography, relief features you will find in this region? You will find mushroom rocks. So I have discussed what is a mushroom rock in the form of table. So like this, the rock pedestals are there. So they are the mushroom rocks you will find. You will find dunes. So I have discussed what is a dune, and also oasis where there is accumulation, little accumulation of water. You will find the oasis as well. So this peninsula, this Indian desert, it can be divided into two regions. So what are the two regions? One is the northern region and the southern region. So northern desert extends in the Sindh region. So where is Sindh? It is, if you look at the history, modern Indian history, you will find Sindh was a part of India. So in the Sindh region, you will find the northern desert and also southern part. So southern part is the Kutch region. That is in Gujarat, Gulf of Kutch region, you will find the southern part of the desert. So also you will find certain rivers in the desert. So one of the rivers is a Looney River. Looney River, these are ephemeral rivers. So what do you mean by ephemeral rivers? So they don't go and join the ocean. They will disappear within the desert itself. So let's say this is a desert. Here the river originates, sorry, and it will disappear somewhere in this region. So within the desert itself, the drainage basin or the destination of the river will be there. So they will disappear within the desert. So also that is called as inland drainage. So drainage, if you take the Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus, they are not inland drainage because they will flow over the flow to the oceans. Whereas this Looney River or the rivers in the desert, they have inland drainage system. So you will find lot of streams in this region. So these streams, where do they go? They will go and culminate in the lakes and playas. Playas are what? Playas are salt water lakes. So salt water accumulation are called as playas. I have discussed in world physical geography. So the rivers will go and end in the playas or the lake region, right? So that is this playas will have brackish water, that is salt water, right? So this is about the deserts, about the Indian desert. Next we will talk about the coastal plains. That is the Indian coast. You have two coasts. One is the western coastal plain, that is this region, and eastern coastal plain. Two coastal plains are there. So the western coastal plain, it is a submerged it is a submerged coast. Submerged coast means, so here you will find, so I have discussed in world physical geography, there are two types of coast. One is high rocky coast and second is low emergent coast. So this is a high rocky coast. So here you will find submergence, that is the places towards the west of the land boundary, they are submerged within the water. So for example, the Dwarka region in Gujarat, so it is submerged under water. The Dwarka city is submerged under water, and here you don't find the delta region, delta. So the east flowing rivers, so they don't form delta. Sorry, west flowing rivers, they don't form delta. East flowing rivers will form delta. You can see the delta here, right here. So they don't form the delta. They will directly flow into the sea because it is a submerged. The entire coastal plain or the continental shelf, it is submerged. So also the continental shelf is not extending, it is very less in this region, right? Here, whereas here in this region, continental shelf goes up to 500 kilometers, whereas here it is not there, right? It is very less. Okay, so you don't find any delta, and it is a narrow belt. This western part is a narrow belt, that is you don't find the continental shelf for the extended region, it is very small. So that is why you have, see, if there is continental shelf, there is very less probability of natural harbors. Why? Because it is the ships cannot enter easily if the continental shelf is there. Continental shelf has shallow waters, whereas here you find lot of natural harbors. Natural harbors means they are formed naturally, right? Humans, without human intervention, they have been formed. The ships can easily enter and exit these harbors. So what are the natural harbors on the western coast? You have the Kandla port, Kandla harbor in the Gujarat region. You have Marmagaon port in the Goa region, and you have New Mangalore port. Mangalore port is also a natural harbor, right? So in the Gujarat, what is this entire western coastal plain called? In the Gujarat region, it is called as Kutch. So this is the Kutch, Gulf of Kutch, this region, Gulf. I have told already what is a Gulf. three sides land, one side water is the Gulf. So this is Gulf of Kutch, this is Gulf of Kambat, right? Gulf of Kambat is there. And then you have in the Maharashtra region, you will find this is called, this western coastal plain is called as a Konkan coast, right? Whereas in the Karnataka and Goa region, it is called as Goan coast, Goan coast. And in the Kerala region, it is called as Malabar coast, right? Malabar coast. Okay. Then in the Kerala region, you will find some what is called as backwaters. What is backwaters? The sea water gets extended into the land. So these are called as kayals. Backwaters are called as kayals in the, you will find it in the Kerala region, right? Okay. So in the backwaters, you will find the boat race. They do the boat race. So one of the famous boat race is Jawaharlal Nehru trophy in the boat race there. So it is held in the Punnamada Kayal. One of the backwaters called as Punnamada Kayal. There they will hold the famous boat race, right? Okay. So next we will talk about the eastern coast. So if you talk about east, it is a broad coast. This is a narrow coast. This is a broad coast. Broad coast means the continental shelf extends to a large area into the sea, right? So it is a, see, this is a submerged coast. It is submerged. This is emergent coast. So low emergent coast as per discussion in the World Physical Geography, right? So this eastern coast you will find lot of deltas. Deltas, you know, it is a depositional landform. Deltas will be found in the eastern coast region. So you find the delta of Mahanadi, you find the delta of Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri, all these rivers you will find the delta, right? So here it is actually difficult to form the harbors and ports. So that is why there are less natural harbors and ports. So whatever you find, they are mostly artificial harbors in the eastern coast, right? Because the continental shelf extends up to 500 kilometers in the region. Next, apart from the eastern coast, we will discuss about the islands. So we have two groups of island. One is the Bay of Bengal, in the Bay of Bengal group. Another is the Arabian Sea group. So in the Bay of Bengal group, you have 572 islands. That is Andaman and Nicobar. Totally the group is 572 islands. So what is the longitude and latitude? So it is from 92 degree east to 94 degree east. Of the Andaman and Nicobar is 92 degree to 94 degree east. And what is the latitude? It is 6 degree north to 14 degree north is the latitudinal extent. So this Andaman and Nicobar, it is totally divided into two groups. One is Ritchie's Archipelago, Ritchie Archipelago and Labyrinth Island. So Archipelago, and one is Ritchie Archipelago and another is Labyrinth Island. Andaman and Nicobar is divided into these two groups of islands, right? Okay. So Andaman is in the north and Nicobar is in the south. They are divided by, Andaman and Nicobar is divided by one channel. Channel is a extension, it is a water channel. So that channel is called as 10 degree channel. 10 degree channel divides the Andaman and Nicobar, right? So we have, we also have a volcanic island in the Andaman and Nicobar. That volcanic island is a barren island. So barren island, you will find the only active oil volcano in India. It has not erupted in recent years, in the recent decades. So also you will find the highest peak, that is a mountain peak. Highest peak in the Andaman and Nicobar region is the Saddle Peak. Saddle Peak is in the North Andaman region, right? So that is the highest peak. So in the Andaman and Nicobar region, you will find the equatorial vegetation, because it is similar to equatorial rainforest, because there is convectional rainfall. Every day there is evaporation and daily there is rainfall. So equatorial climate you will find there. Next, the next group of islands, what you find is the Lakshadweep group of islands. So it is called as the Amendevi, Minicoy and Lakshadweep. So these are the group of islands. Here you will find it. So what is the longitude and latitude? So the latitude is from 8 degree to 12 degree north, and latitude is longitude is 71 degree east to 74 degree east. 71 degree to 74 degree east is the longitudinal extent of the Lakshadweep group of island. So this is the coral island. So this entire group of island is formed out of corals, right? Okay. So the biggest island in the Lakshadweep is the Minicoy Island. Minicoy is the biggest island. So it is a group of totally 36 islands are there in this group. So this group is divided by the 9 degree channel. 9 degree channel. So towards the 9 degree channel you have the north of 9 degree. So here the north of 10 degree you will find Andaman, and the south you will find Nicobar. So here to the north of 9 degree channel you will find Amindivi Island, and towards the south you will find the Kannanur Island. So 9 degree channel divides the Amindivi and the Kannanur group of islands, right? Okay. So this is about the topography of India, the entire topography of India. Next we will move to a new concept, the drainage system of India. So drainage is the water. How does the water get accumulated? How does it flow on the surface? How does it flow on the underground? All the what is the evaporation? Everything. What is the basin? What is the catchment area? Everything we will discuss in the drainage system of India. So this drainage system, it is actually dependent on the channels. So where the water flows on the surface, it is called a channel, called as a channel. So these channels, it is either, if it is a big channel, it is a river. So where the river water flows, it is either called a river. If it is a small place, it is called as nala, right? So these are the two types. So if this channel, so wherever the water flows, if it is not properly defined, if it is ill-defined, so then there will be flooding. So if there is proper channel, there is no flooding, but there is no channel means there will be flooding, right? So if the water flows through the proper channel, right? Water flowing in the proper channel, it is called as a drainage. It is called as a drainage system, right? So this water flowing through a particular, so let's say this is a channel. If the water flows through the particular channel, it is called as a drainage. So this group of channels, so totally group of channels is called as a drainage system. The group of channels together is called as a drainage system, right? So this is the concept of drainage system, that is a group of channel. Next we will talk about the concept of catchment area. So what is catchment area? Let's say this is a region. Whatever the rain falls within this region, so that is the catchment area of that rain. So if a rain falls in a particular area and all of that will connected in a particular area, that is the catchment area of the rain, right? So whatever, see, so in this particular area, whatever the rain falls, that will get accumulated into a river, right? So this is the, if let's say we will take up one river, so Mahanadi River. So it is always the catchment area is defined with respect to a channel. So let's say that take the channel of Mahanadi. So here the water is flowing, right? So the catchment area of Mahanadi is somewhere around this region. So what happens? Whatever the rain that falls within the entire region, this entire region, this will flow as the river Mahanadi. So this is the catchment area. The rain is caught or the rain is catched and the entire rain will flow into a river, right? That is the concept of catchment area. So next is the drainage basin. The next concept is drainage basin. So whatever if the river is flowing here, wherever the river flows, right, that is a drainage basin. That is whatever the area that the water of the river is available. So if the river, wherever the water of this particular river is available, that is the drainage basin of that river, catchment area and drainage basin. So next is the concept of watershed. So if this is the drainage basin of Mahanadi, and let's say this is the drainage basin of river Godavari, right? So river Godawari's drainage basin. So this division of drainage basin is called as watershed. So this is a water, whatever sheds in this particular region flows as Mahanadi River, and whatever the water that flows into this particular region flows as Godavari River. So this is one watershed, and this is second another watershed. That is, water is shedding in this particular region and getting accumulated as a river, right? That is the concept of watershed. Next, these are the basic concepts we should know about the drainage basin. Next, we will talk about the different drainage patterns, how the drainage patterns are there. So the first type of drainage pattern is the dendritic drainage pattern, or a dendritic, also a tree-like drainage pattern. That is, see, if the drainage is like this, that is, all these tributaries are coming and they are going into one river. So this is like a tree, right? So this is a dendritic drainage pattern. So this type of drainage pattern you will find in the North India, because North Indian rivers have lot of tributaries. So that you will find in the North Indian region. So the next type of drainage pattern is the radial drainage pattern. So what is a radial drainage pattern? Let's say there is a hill. Let's say this is a hill. So here the river originates, and just like our Kaveri River in the Brahmagiri Talkaveri region. So, and it flows in all directions. In all the direction the river flows. That is a radial pattern. It is originating and flowing from the hill in all the direction. That is a radial pattern. So where do you find this type of pattern in India? You will find it in the Amarkantak Plateau region. In the Amarkantak Plateau. Next, you have the trellis drainage pattern. What is a trellis drainage pattern? It is actually flowing the drainage, that the rivers flowing parallel to one another. See, the rivers are flowing parallelly to one another. So this is the trellis drainage pattern. So here you have, in the trellis you have primary tributaries and secondary tributaries. So the primary tributaries are flowing parallel to one another. The secondary tributaries will come and join at 90 degree. At 90 degree they will join the primary tributaries. That is the trellis pattern of the, at the right angle they will join. That is a trellis pattern of the drainage pattern system, right? Next you have the centripetal drainage pattern. What is centripetal? Let's say we have discussed it in the desert topography. So if there are lot of mountains around and the rivers originating in all the mountains, they will fall in the lake, fall in the region in the middle. So let's say there is a group of mountains surround, there is a round about mountain, and in between the mountain there is a empty area. So whatever the rivers that will originate in the mountains, they will go and fall in this particular empty area. This is the centripetal drainage pattern. That is, all the discharge, all the water that originates in all the mountains, they will go and accumulate in the center region, center of the mountains, in the plain area. That is the centripetal drainage pattern. So now this is about the 4 types of drainage pattern we have spoken about. Next we will talk about the difference between river basin and watershed. What is the difference between river basin and watershed? So the catchment area of a large river is a river basin. That is, whatever the rain that is caught in this region, it will flow as Mahanadi River. That is the river basin, right? Whereas the catchment area of the small rivers are called as watershed, small rivulets and rills. That is, smaller river catchment area is called as what? It is called as watershed, the larger area, catchment area is called as the river basin, right? So these two concepts, that is river basin and watersheds, are interconnected. How interconnected? Because the small rivers only at the end will form a large river. That is why the watershed and river basin concepts are interconnected. Next, we will next is the division of Indian drainage. How Indian drainage pattern is divided. So Indian drainage pattern is divided on into two areas, two drainage basins. That is, one is the Arabian Sea drainage and the second is the Bay of Bengal drainage, right? So here is the map. So this is the, whatever the rain that falls left to this line, it will go into Arabian Sea. Whatever the rain or the water that falls east of this line, it will go into the Bay of Bengal. That is the Arabian Sea drainage and the Bay of Bengal drainage pattern. So this constitutes Arabian drainage, Arabian Sea drainage constitutes 23% of our rivers. Bay of Bengal constitutes 77% of our rivers in India, right? So what divides the Arabian Sea drainage and Bay of Bengal drainage? So what is the separating factor? We have not simply drawn a line. So the separating factor is the Aravalli Hills and Sahyadris. So the Sahyadri mountains, that is the Western Ghats, Aravalli Hills in this region, and also you have the Delhi Ridge, Aravalli Hills, also the Sahyadris divides the Arabian Sea drainage and the Bay of Bengal drainage in India, right? So this is the first division. The second division of the so the first division of waters is based on drainage basin, that is Aravalli Sea and the Bay of Bengal. The second division of Indian rivers, it is based on the watershed. So what is the division of rivers on the watershed basis? So we will divide the Indian rivers into on the basis of watershed into major river basins and medium river basins and minor river basins. So major river basins which has more than 20,000 square kilometer of catchment. So the catchment area, the rain that is caught and it flows into a river. So if that catchment area, is more than 20,000 square kilometer, then it is a major river basin. Next you have the medium river basin. If the catchment area is between 2,000 square kilometer to 20,000 square kilometer, then it is a medium river basin. Then you have minor river basin, which is less than 20,000 square kilometer of catchment area. These are the three divisions. So what are the major river basins in India? You have 14 major river basins, that is more than 20,000 square kilometer of catchment area. So what are the 14 major drainage basins? You have Ganga, you have Brahmaputra, and all these Indus, all these are the major river basins in India. Godavari, Mahanadi, Krishna, all these things, right? Then medium river basins, you have 44 river basins. What are the rivers? That is Kali Nadi, Periyar, all are the rivers in the medium river basins, right? So okay, so minor, you find the minor river basins everywhere, right? That is within 20,000 square kilometers. So all the large rivers with the large river basin, they will flow into Bay of Bengal. All the rivers flow into the Bay of Bengal. So except the Narmada and Tapi River, they flow into the Arabian Sea, right? So major rivers, large rivers, all of them flow into the Bay of Bengal, right? So next we will, this is about the division of rivers in India. Next we will talk about the drainage system in India. Drainage system in India. So where all the drainage, that is the drainage system I have discussed, it is a group of channels. So channels together form a drainage system. So the first drainage system in India is the Himalayan drainage system. That is where whatever the rivers that flow from the Himalaya constitute the Himalayan drainage system. So this drainage system, that is the Ganga, the Yamuna, all this, Gagara, Gandak, all these rivers form the Himalayan drainage system. So this system has a very long history. So it has a very long geological history. So you have Ganga, Indus, Brahmaputra, all these rivers. So where do the water comes for this drainage system? It is from the melt water, that is the glacier melts and the water is accumulated in these rivers. So the source is the glaciers, and there are two sources. One is the glacier melt water, the second source is precipitation, that is rainfall. So these are the two sources for the water in the Himalayan drainage system. So these rivers are perennial rivers. What do you mean by perennial rivers? That is, they don't go dry. So if you see, look at these rivers, all the time they will have water in them. They are perennial rivers. So in the winter season, winter and rainy season, winter season, they will have the water from the glaciers. In the rainy season, and they will have water from the monsoon rain. And in the summer season, there will be some local winds which will constitute the rainfall. So that is why you find water all the time in these Himalayan rivers, right? So these rivers, they pass through the gorges. So what is a gorge? I have discussed what is a gorge. They pass through gorges and they carry out lot of erosional activity. So Himalayan rivers, they carry out erosion, that is they do the undercutting of valley, they will form the gorges, all these things, right? So why there is erosion in this region? Because the Himalayas are moving up. So as the Himalayas move up, the river will start cutting, river is going deeper and deeper or cutting the Himalayas, steep, more steeper, right? So what are the erosional features in the Himalayan rivers? You have the V-shaped valleys. So valleys between the mountains. You will find valleys between the mountains, that is the first erosional feature. Then you have the rapids and waterfalls. Rapids is a very quick moving river, in the quick moving small river, and also you will find waterfalls in this region, right? So in the Himalayan drainage, so this is about the erosion of the Himalayan drainage. Then we will talk about the depositional feature of the Himalayan drainage. So deposition, where does it take place? It takes place in the Ganga plains. Ganga plains, the deposition takes place. So what are the depositional features? You will find the meanders. You will find oxbow lakes. Oxbow lakes, I have discussed what is oxbow lake, and also you will find flood plains, that is where the alluvium soil is accumulated. That is also you will find in this region. Also you will find in the delta plains, you will find the braided channels. So if the river comes like this, it will form a delta like this, right? So it will form a delta and go into the ocean. So this is a braided channel. The channel is getting divided into multiple small rivers, right? So that is the braided channel. Also you will find in the depositional feature of the Himalayan rivers. So this Himalayan rivers, they shift their courses. So because of the braided channel. So why? See, if there is a lot of soil or accumulation of the deposition, or some rock or something comes and falls here, so this channel will get closed and the river will shift somewhere else because of the deposition. That is why you will find the shifting of courses. The rivers shift their courses. For example, the Kosi River in the Bihar region, it is called as a sorrow of Bihar, right? Because it keeps changing its course, because they will bring lot of sediments from the Himalayas, deposit, and the deposition blocks the river channel, it will shift the course and causes flooding, right? This is about the Himalayan drainage. How did this Himalayan drainage evolve? Over what period did it evolve? So initially there was a big river. So how did this Himalayan river system originate? Means earlier there was a very big river from west to east. So this big river was called as Indo-Brahma or the Shivalik River, right? So later on, this Indo-Brahma or the Shivalik river was flowing. So it was flowing from here and it was going into the Arabian Sea. Right? This was during the Miocene period. Miocene period, this was there. Then later this river got divided. This entire river got divided into western and eastern section. So in the western section, it became the Indus River. Indus River and its 5 tributaries, Ravi, Sutlej, Beas, Jhelum, Chenab. Right? And the second division is the central division of this river, that is the Ganga River system. It got divided into west as the Indus River, central as the Ganga River system, and east as the Brahmaputra River system, divided into 3 parts. Right? So why did this division takes place? Why did this river got divided? Because the Himalayas is going and crushing into Eurasian plate, right? So Himalayas are moving up, they are uplifting. So when the Himalayas are uplifting or the Himalayan region is moving more and more up, the height of the Himalayas are increasing. That is why this river got divided. Also the Delhi Ridge or this region is called as a Potwar Plateau. Potwar Plateau or the Delhi Ridge, that also moved up along with the Himalayas. That is why this river got divided. Right? So this river, this Indo-Brahma, it was got divided into Indus, Ganga and the Brahmaputra. Later here, because of the Malda Gap, in the Malda Gap region, it started flowing into the Bay of Bengal region because of the Malda Gap. Here there was a depression because of which the river started flowing there. Right? So we will talk in the Himalayan drainage, we will talk about individual rivers now. So the first river is the Indus system, Indus River system. So this is the this is also called as Sindhu River, right? So this is one of the largest rivers in the world, right? Okay. So what is the drainage basin or the catchment area of this river? It is 11,65,000 square kilometer, including India and Pakistan. That is the drainage basin or the area of this river. So what is the total length? The total length of the Indus River is 2,880 kilometers. That is the total length. So how much portion of this lies within India? Out of 2,880 kilometers, how much lies within the boundary of India? It is 1,114 kilometer. 1114 kilometer lies in India. So this is the India's westernmost river. So which is the westernmost river? It is not the Sabarmati or Mahi. It is the Indus River system is the westernmost river. So where does this Indus originate? It originates in the Kailash range, in the Tibet region, in the Kailash range. So this origin place is called as Bokarchu. Bokarchu is the place of origin. So in the Tibet region, this Indus is called as, so earlier we were calling it as Sindhu. In the Tibet region, this river is called as Singhi Kamban. Singhi Kamban is the in the Tibet region, the river is called as, so Singhi Kamban also called as the Lion's Mouth. It is also called as a Lion's Mouth. So this, after originating in the Tibet region, it flows through the Ladakh and between the Ladakh and Zanskar range. So here is the Ladakh, here is the Zanskar range. So it flows between the Ladakh and Zanskar ranges, and it cuts the Ladakh range. So it cuts the Ladakh range and flows into the Gilgit-Baltistan region. From here, between Ladakh and Zanskar, cuts the Ladakh range and flows into the Gilgit-Baltistan region. That is, which is under Pakistan-occupied Kashmir today, right? And later, it flows into the Dardistan region in the Pakistan. So it enters the Pakistan in the Dardistan region. So what are the tributaries of the Indus? So you have many tributaries in India. That is one of some of the rivers are. One is the Gilgit River, Gilgit, Shyok River, Zanskar River, Hunza River, Nubra River, Dras River. So all these are the, some 7-8 rivers are the tributaries of Indus River in the Indian region, right, within India. So these are the left bank tributaries or the tributaries within India. So what are the right bank tributaries of Indus? What do you mean by right bank tributary? So if a river is flowing in this direction, Towards the left, whatever the tributaries join, those are left bank tributaries. Towards the right, whatever the tributary rivers that join, those are the right bank tributaries, right? So what are the right bank tributaries of Indus? In the Pakistan region, you have Kabul River, Kurram River, Gomal River. So they are the right bank tributaries of Indus, right? So next, some of the left bank tributaries of the Indus in Pakistan is the Panjnath River. What are the Panjnath River? That is the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas and Sutlej. So these rivers join the Indus in the Mithankot region. In the Mithankot region, these 5 rivers join the Indus River, right? Okay. So this flows into the Arabian Sea near the Karachi. Near Karachi. So in which region or through which states does the Indus River flow in India? It flows through only 2 union territories. That is the Union Territory of Ladakh and Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Apart from that, it will not flow in any other state within India, right? So this is about Indus. Next, we will talk about the Jhelum River. Where is the Jhelum River originating? It originates in the Pirpanjal range. So in the Pirpanjal range, Jhelum River originates. The place is called as Verinag. Verinag is where Jhelum originates. So it flows through the Srinagar. It flows through Srinagar city and goes through the Ular Lake. So it doesn't go through Dal Lake. It goes through Ular Lake in the Jammu and Kashmir Union Territory, right? So this later joins the Chenab. Where does Jhelum join the Chenab? Here, this region in Pakistan is called as Jung. Jung is the region where Jhelum joins the Chenab. So this is the first river, first tributary of the Indus. Next, we will talk about the Chenab River. So Chenab is the largest tributary of Indus. It is the biggest one. So this Chenab is also called as a Chandrabhaga River. So Chandra and Bhaga, these are the 2 tributaries of Chenab. They join at Keelong. Keelong. Where is Keelong? Keelong is in Himachal Pradesh. So Chandra and Bhaga join at Keelong, form one river, and they flow as a Chenab River, right? This is the second river. Next, you have the Ravi River. So Ravi River, where does it originate? It originates in the Himachal Pradesh. In the Himachal Pradesh region near Rohtang Pass. So in the Rohtang Pass region, so what is a pass? So what is a pass? It is, so I have discussed. So Shipkila, Bamla, Potula, all these are the passes. These are passages in the mountains, big mountains, right? So in the Rohtang Pass, you will find the origin of the Ravi River. So it passes through the Chamba Valley. It originates in Rohtang and passes through the Chamba Valley in the Himachal Pradesh, and it later joins the Chenab River. So where does it join the Chenab River? It joins at the Sarai Sidhu region. Sarai Sidhu, right? Next, we will talk about the Beas River. So Beas is the 4th tributary. So where does it originate? It is originating in the Beas Kund region. In the Beas Kund region near, where is this Beas Kund region? It is near the Rohtang Pass. Rohtang Pass, where the Ravi River originates. There only this Beas Kund is also there. This flows through the Kullu Valley in Himachal Pradesh. Kullu, where is Kullu? It is in Himachal Pradesh. This Beas River flows through the Kullu Valley and it forms gorges. Gorges I have discussed what is a gorge, and where in the Dhauladhar region. So Dhauladhar is the lower Himalayas is called as Dhauladhar in Himachal Pradesh, and what is it called in the Uttarakhand? Nagtiba, right? So in the Dhauladhar region it forms the gorges. So where does it meet? So it meets the Sutlej River. So where does it meet the Sutlej River, Beas River? It meets at Harike Barrage in Punjab, right? Where is this? This dam is there, right? So the Bakra Nangal project, right? So there the Harike Barrage, the Beas River meets the Sutlej River, right? So next we will talk about the Sutlej River. Where does it originate? It originates at Raksastal. Raksastal in the Manas Sarovar region. Sutlej River, right? In the Manas Sarovar region. So in the Tibet place, in the Tibet region it originates. So this Sutlej river, it is also called as the Langchen Kambab. Langchen Kambab is the, so Indus is called as Singhi Kambab, whereas the Sutlej is called as Langchen Kambab, right? So it also forms a gorge in the Roper region. So it flows through the Shipkila Pass. This Sutlej river flows through, right? Not there, somewhere here, right? So in the Himalayan region, so it is an antecedent river. So what is the antecedent river? Sutlej is an antecedent river. So let's say antecedent river. A river is flowing like this, right? Over a mountain. Let's say take the example of Himalayas. So what happens later on? This mountain where the river is flowing through, it will uplift, it will move above, it will be, the mountain height is increased. Even though, see what happens when the mountain height, let's say it was like this, later on it will become this big. Even though the height of the mountain increases, the river flows through the same channel. Just because the height of the mountain increases, the river doesn't change its path. So those kind of rivers are called as antecedent rivers. They don't change the path. They flow through the same channel. That is a antecedent river. That is your Sutlej River. So on this Sutlej River only you will find the Bakra Nangal project on the Sutlej River. So this is about the Indus system of water, of rivers. Next we will talk about the Ganga system, Ganga water system. So this Ganga, you know, Ganga has a very high religious value in India. So we treat Ganga as a Ganga Mata, as a Mother Ganga, right? So where does this Ganga originate? It originates in the Uttarakhand, that is Gangotri Glacier, right? In the Uttarkashi region. This Gaumukh is also called as Uttarkashi. So this Ganga, it is actually a meeting of two tributaries. One is Bhagirathi, another is Alaknanda, right? So this Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, they meet at, where do they meet? They meet at Devprayag. They meet at Devprayag and becomes the Ganga River, right? So this Bhagirathi, it cuts through the Himalayan region and flows and meets the Alaknanda River at the Devprayag region. Prayag means where the rivers confluence, right? That is a Prayag. So where does this Alaknanda originate? So Bhagirathi originates in the Gangotri Glacier. Where does this Alaknanda originates? It originates in the Alkapuri region. Alkapuri region, also the glacier is called as Satopant Glacier. Satopant Glacier is where Alaknanda originates. Where is the Satopant Glacier? So you have heard about this Badrinath region. That is where the Alaknanda River originates, right? So this Alaknanda has various tributaries like Vishnu Ganga, Pindar and Mandakini, not very important. So this Ganga, which is a meeting up of Bhagirathi and Alaknanda, this will be flowing over the mountains, right? So they enter the plain, that is plain region, that is not at elevation. So where do they enter the plain region from the mountains? It enters the plain at the Haridwar region in Uttarakhand. Haridwar is where it enters the plain region in India. So this Ganga actually later on somewhere here it flows into Hooghly and Padma River. This Padma River enters the Bangladesh region. So what is the total length of Ganga? It is 2525 kilometer. Approximately 2500 kilometer is the length of Ganga. So how many states does the Ganga flows through? It flows through 5 states, right? Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, West Bengal and Jharkhand. Jharkhand, one small portion it will flows through. So 5 states it flows through, right? So what is the drainage basin of Ganga. What is the length of drainage basin? It is 8.6 lakh square kilometer is the total drainage basin of this river. So this Ganga receives water. This Ganga river system, it has tributaries. It has rivers flowing from Himalayas also. From here also rivers come, and from peninsular plateau also river will flow into the Ganga system. So Himalaya and peninsular rivers both, right? So what are the left bank tributaries of Ganga? That is, if the Ganga is flowing, what are the rivers that join from the left side? So you have Gomti, Gagara, Gandak and Kosi. Gomti, Gagara, Gandak and Kosi are the left bank tributaries, and you have, what are the right bank tributaries? You have the Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Kane and Son. Chambal, Sindh, Betwa, Kane and Son. Please remember the order of the rivers from left to right. It will be asked in your exams, right? Okay. So this is about the Ganga river system. To protect the Ganga from pollution and conserve the Ganga river, we have Namami Gange project by the government of India. It is a flagship scheme, right? So the Namami Gange project, right? Next, we will talk about the Yamuna river. Yamuna is one of the tributaries of the Ganga river, right? So where does this Yamuna originate? It originates in the Yamunotri in Uttarakhand. So this region is also called as Bander Punch. Bander Punch is where the Yamunotri originates. So where does this Yamuna meets the Ganga? In Uttar Pradesh. So earlier called as Allahabad, now Prayagraj. So Prayagraj is where the Yamuna meets the Ganga. So what are the tributaries of Ganga, right bank tributaries? So you have the Chambal. So this Chambal, though it finally they flow into the Ganga river. So these actually are the tributaries of Yamuna, not the Ganga directly. Chambal, Sindh, Betwa and can join the Yamuna first, later flow into the Ganga. Whereas the Son river directly flows into the Ganga. This is very, very important. So what are the right bank tributaries of Yamuna? You have the Chambal river, Sindh river, Betwa river and Ken river. So all of them originate from the Vindhya Satpura region, Amarkantak plateau, and they will flow into the Yamuna river, right? So first is the Chambal river. It is very, very important among all the rivers. So where does this originate? It originates, Chambal originates in Madhya Pradesh. What is the place? Place is called as Mhow. MHOW is where the Chambal originates. So it flows through the Malwa Plateau, this region. It flows through the Malwa Plateau region, and it flows to the Kota region. Where is Kota? In Rajasthan. It flows through Kota, and you have the what is the dam that is built on Chambal river in Rajasthan? That is Rajasthan Madhya Pradesh border. You have Gandhi Sagar Dam. Gandhi Sagar Dam is built on the Chambal river. So Chambal is famous for the ravines. I have discussed badland topography. What is a ravine? Next, we will talk about the left bank tributaries of Ganga. So the first left bank tributary, you have the Ram Ganga. So Ram Ganga, it originates in the Garhwal region. Garhwal region, Gairsen, in the Uttarakhand. Garhwal region, it will originate Ram Ganga. Next you have the Gandak River. Where does the Gandak River originate? It originates between Gandak here. So Gandak River, it originates in Nepal between Dhaulagiri mountain, Dhaulagiri and Mount Everest. This Gandak River originates. Next you have the Gagara region. Gagara River. So where does it originate? It originates at the Mapcha Chungo region in the Nepal, right? So it forms this Gagara also forms a gorge. So what is this gorge? Where is it formed? So it formed at the Shishapani place. This Gagara will form a gorge. So this Gagara will join the Sardar River. It joins the Sardar River before flowing into the Ganga, right? Next you have the Kosi River. Kosi, where does it originate? It originates in the Tibet region. In the Tibet region, Kosi is called as Arun. It is called as the Arun River. So later on this Kosi, so Kosi is called as what? The sorrow of Bihar, right? So this Kosi, it is later on some 7 rivers join and form the Kosi and called as Sapt Kosi. Sapt Kosi River, it flows into the Ganga River, right? So next we will talk about the Damodar River. Damodar River in the Chota, where does it flow through? It flows through the Chota Nagpur Plateau region, right? So it is called as, Damodar is called as what? Sorrow of Bengal, right? So later on, Damodar Valley Corporation was formed to tame the river, right? So now it doesn't cause any flood. Next, you have the Sardar River, also called as the Kali River. Sardar or the Kali River in this region, it is called as Gori Ganga region, Gori Ganga River, right? Next you have the Mahananda River. So where does this Mahananda River originate? It originates in the Darjeeling Hills of West Bengal. That is where Mahananda originates. And you have the Sun River, which is originating in the Amarkantak Plateau. This is all about the Ganga River system in India. So this entire thing forms the Ganga River system. Next, we will talk about the Brahmaputra River system. Brahmaputra River system. So this, where does this Brahmaputra originate? It originates in Tibet. Same, most of these rivers originate in Tibet. So what is the glacier? Chamayungdung Glacier in the Tibet region. That is in the Kailash range. In the Kailash range, you will find the origination of the sea. There is Sangpo. Sangpo is the Brahmaputra. So that is where the Brahmaputra originates. So it originates near the Manasa Sarovar Lake. Manasa Sarovar Lake in the Tibet region, right? That is where this river originates. So in China it is called as Sangpo, right? So it enters India at Namcha Barwa. It forms a gorge. So it forms a gorge and enters India at Namcha Barwa. So I am talking about gorge multiple times. I will show you a gorge. Because if you don't understand, I have shown it in the word physical geography, but it's important you see it again. Why there is no good image of gorge? Wait a second. This is a gorge. This is a gorge. This is the water flows through the narrow passage between the mountains. So this is a gorge. Clear? See, this is a gorge. The river flowing between parallel mountains, right? So this is a gorge. Okay. So it enters India via gorge at the Namcha Barwa and it emerges at the foothills of the Himalayas. As the what river? It enters India in the Namcha Barwa as the Dihang River. Brahmaputra is not called Brahmaputra as when it enters India. It is called as a Dihang River in the Arunachal Pradesh region, right? So this Brahmaputra also has multiple tributaries. So what are the tributaries? You have the Dibang, not Dabang. So Dibang River is there, Lohit River is there. So all these rivers form the Brahmaputra. First it enters as the Dihang and later Dibang and Lohit rivers to join to form a Brahmaputra river, right? So it flows through India. What is the length of Brahmaputra? Not the total length. In India, what is the total length? It is 750 kilometers. If you take the total length, it is more than 2000 kilometers or approximately 3000. But in India, it is 2750 kilometers. So what are the left bank tributaries? The rivers that join the Brahmaputra from the left side. So what are they? You have Buri Dihang and Dhansiri. Buri Dihang and Dhansiri are the rivers which join the Brahmaputra from the left side. So what are the right bank tributaries? That is rivers joining from right side. You have the Subansiri. Subansiri river joins from the right side. So this river flows through the Assam region, and this is also known for causing lot of floods. So for example, it flows through this Kaziranga National Park. So what is Kaziranga famous for? Kaziranga for the one-horned rhinoceros, right? So there it causes lot of floods. So the entire Brahmaputra is known for causing lot of floods. So this enters Bangladesh. This river enters Bangladesh at a region called as Dhubri. Dhubri is where the river takes a 90-degree turn. It takes a 90-degree turn and enters the Bangladesh region, right? So this Brahmaputra, if after getting, it joins with Teesta River, which originates in Sikkim, right? So it joins with Teesta in the Bangladesh and is called as Jamuna. Brahmaputra after joining the Teesta is called as Jamuna, right? So this Jamuna after joining with Padma River, Padma is the Ganga River. So Ganga going into Bangladesh is called as Padma. After this Jamuna joins with Padma, they flow into the Bay of Bengal region, right? Here it flows into the Bay of Bengal region. So this is about the Brahmaputra river system. Next, we will talk about the peninsular drainage system. That is the rivers in the peninsular region, that is Indian peninsula. So this, I told you, the Himalayan drainage is also geographically old. Similarly, peninsular system is older than the Himalayan system, right? It is older, and here see in the Himalayan region you will find V-shaped valleys, whereas here you don't find the peninsula, you don't find V-shaped valleys, rather you will find valleys like this, right? Shallow valleys you will find in this region. So in this region you will find the peninsular region, you will find see Himalaya, you will find the young rivers. So young rivers that is of recent origin, you will find in the rivers which are in their youthful stage. So rivers in this region, till here it is youthful, till here it is mature, and from here it is old. Whereas in the peninsular region you won't find youthful river. So what you find is a mature rivers. Only mature rivers you will find in that region, right? So this rivers flow into either Bay of Bengal or Arabian Sea. So what is the water divide? That is, which are the rivers which flow into Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea? So what is the water divide? It is the Western Ghats. Western Ghats divides the drainage basin of the rivers into Bay of Bengal drainage and Arabian Sea drainage, right? So this Bay of Bengal, it is the so here the rivers Mahanadi, the Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri flow into the Bay of Bengal, whereas Narmada, Tapi, Sabarmati, Mahi, all these rivers flow into the Arabian Sea region, right? So what are the features of the peninsular rivers? So peninsular rivers, they do not meander, they don't go crisscross. They have fixed course, that is, they flow in the same channel, they don't change. Just like the Himalayan rivers which change their channels, the peninsular rivers, they don't change their channels, they have fixed course, they don't form any meanders, and they are not perennial, that is, they go dry in the summer months. So Himalayan rivers are perennial, whereas these rivers are not perennial. So some rivers flow through the Rift Valley. So Rift Valley, between the mountains, the valley, whatever is there, is the Rift Valley, which is formed out of faulting. That is geotectonic processes. So the Narmada and Tapi, you have the Vindhya and Satpura. Towards the north of Satpura, you will find the Narmada River. Towards the south of Satpura, you will find the Tapi River flowing in the Rift Valley. So how did this peninsular drainage, peninsular system originate, right? So there are three events because of which the peninsular system, peninsular rivers originated. First is the subsidence of the western flank. That is, see, this western region, it went into the waters. That is, it got submerged into the water. That is first event. Because it submerged into the water, so these rivers in the western part, they started flowing towards the Arabian Sea. That is the first event. Next, you have upheaval of Himalayas, right? So the Himalayas growing in height. So that is when the Himalayas grew in height. So that is when that is the second event which formed the peninsular system, right? So next is the peninsular subsidence. See, when the Himalayas grew taller, the peninsular system actually they become shallower, because when the Himalayas grow high, the peninsula are comparatively are lower. That is the second event, right? And that in the second event itself, you will find the trough faulting. That is the faulting. That is when the rocks cut open, rocks get opened, and in that open rocks, the rivers, that is the debris of the rivers, flow and fill up the cracks. That is the Narmada and Tapi rivers, you will find the debris material. Debris is the from the erosional material, they will go and fill up the cracks in the Narmada and Tapi regions. Then you have the third event is the tilting of the peninsular plateau. What is the tilting of peninsular plateau? That is, it tilted towards the Bay of Bengal region. From the northwest to southeast, it tilted, right? Because of which all the rivers started flowing in the Bay of Bengal. Totally three events. One is the subsidence of the western flank. This got subsided. Second is Himalayas grew. Because Himalayas grew, this formed a lower level. This reduced in height. That is the peninsular plateau. Third is this region from the northwest to southeast, there is a tilt, because of which the rivers flow into the Bay of Bengal. These are the three events which form the peninsular drainage system, right? So this is about the evolution of peninsular drainage, how it evolved. Next, we will talk about the river system. What are the rivers in the peninsular drainage? You have the first river is the Mahanadi River. So Mahanadi River system. So where does it originate? It originates in the Sihava region, Chhattisgarh. That is where the Mahanadi originates. So it flows through the Odisha. It flows through Odisha and goes into the Bay of Bengal, right? So it is, what is the length of the Mahanadi River? It flows through 851 kilometers. That is the length of the Mahanadi River. Next, you have the Godavari River system. So what is Godavari? So this Godavari is the largest peninsular river. It is the largest peninsular river. It is also called as Dakshin Ganga. Godavari is called as the Dakshin Ganga, right? Because it is the next to Ganga, it is the largest, or in the southern region. In the southern region or the peninsular region, it is the largest river. So where does the Godavari originates? Godavari originates in the Maharashtra, Nasik region, right? Nasik region it originates. What is the length of the Godavari River? It is 1465 kilometers is the total length of this river. So what is the catchment area, or in which states does the catchment area of the Godavari River falls? It is Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh. Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Andhra Pradesh. So these four regions, the Godavari River catchment area falls. So what are the certain tributaries? the tributaries which form the Godavari River. So you have the Penganga. You have Penganga River, here it is there. Then you have the Penganga, Indravati, Pranita and Manjira. So Penganga, Indravati, Pranita and Manjira are the four rivers, or the Manjira are the four tributaries of the Godavari River. Remember, it is the largest peninsular river. It forms a large delta. Here is the delta of Godavari. It forms a large delta, right? So next we will talk about the Krishna River. So the Krishna River, it is the second largest river in India, in the peninsular region. It is second largest. Where does it originate? It originates in the Mahabaleshwar region. Where is Mahabaleshwar region? In the Maharashtra. It is in the Sahyadri. In the Sahyadri mountains, this originates. So what is the total length of the Mahanadi or the Krishna River? So the total length is 1401 kilometers. 1400 kilometers is the total length. So what are the tributaries? Tributaries which join the Godavari River. You have the Koina, Tungabhadra and Bhima. Koina River, Tungabhadra River and Bhima River. So they join to form the Godavari River. So in which states does the catchment area of the Godavari falls or the Krishna falls? So you have Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So Karnataka, Maharashtra, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So these four states is where the catchment area of the Krishna River falls into, right? Next we have the Kaveri River. So where does it originate? In the Brahmagiri Hills, Talkaveri it originates. What is the total length of Kaveri? 800 kilometers. So before falling into the Bay of Bengal, it travels through 800 kilometers. So so this Kaveri River has water. It gets water from two. There are actually how many monsoons in India? Two monsoons. One is southwest monsoon, another is northeast monsoon. So if there is Kaveri River, this gets water. So it gets water from southwest monsoon also, and also it gets water from northeast monsoons also. That is why Kaveri River has water throughout the year. So it is one of the few rivers which has water throughout the year in the peninsular region, right? So what are the tributaries of Kaveri? So you have Kabini, Bhavani, Amravati are the tributaries of the Kaveri. Is Netravati a tributary of Kaveri? Netravati is not. So it is Bhavani, Kabini and Amravati. Netravati falls into Arabian Sea, right? So it is Kabini, Bhavani and Amravati. Next you have the Narmada River. Narmada River. So where does it originate? So this flows into Arabian Sea, right? So this originates in the Amarkantak Plateau. Amarkantak Plateau, it is in the Madhya Pradesh. So it flows in the Rift Valley between Vindhya and Satpura. Between Vindhya and Satpura it flows, right, in the Rift Valley, right? So so I'll show you what is a Rift Valley, but that is better, because if I just say Rift Valley, it is see, this is a Rift Valley. This is a Rift Valley. Rift Valley of Narmada. See, this is a Rift Valley. Can you see it? This is the Rift Valley. So, it flows between the Vindhya and Satpura in a rift valley, right? So, the waterfalls, there is a waterfall on Narmada River that you can remember the name. It might be asked. It is called a Duandar waterfall, right? So, what is the total length of Narmada? It is 1,300 kilometers. It flows into the Arabian Sea in the Bharuch region. So, you have Sardar project on the Narmada River, right? So next is the Tapi River. So this Tapi River, where does it originate? It originates in the Madhya Pradesh, Betul region. So Multai in Betul, that is where the Tapi River originates. What is the total length of the Tapi River? It is 724 kilometers is the total length. So what is the catchment area or the river basin of the Tapi River? You have Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. So these three states is where the catchment area of the Tapi River falls. So next we will talk about the Looney River. Looney, see here it is, Rajasthan. So it originates in a place called Pushkar, west of Aravalli Hills. In the Pushkar region, it originates and it flows into the run of Kutch. In the run of Kutch, it will flow into the land itself. That is, it is a ephemeral river. I will discuss what is a ephemeral river. So this is about the major rivers. So next, we will talk about the small rivers in India. Some of the small rivers. So west flowing rivers, small west flowing rivers that flow into the Arabian Sea. What are the small rivers? So you have, first we will talk about the rivers in the Gujarat. So you have one river called Bhadra. So not the Bhadra in Karnataka. There is one more Bhadra in Gujarat. So that will flow. That is a small river that flows into Arabian Sea. Then you have Sabarmati and Mahi. So this flow into the Arabian Sea. Then you have in the Maharashtra one river called Vaitarna near the Nasik that flows into Arabian Sea. In Karnataka you have three rivers which flows into Arabian Sea. You have the Kali Nadi in the Belgaum region. So it flows into the Karwar Bay. So Kali Nadi is there. Then you have Bedti River. So in the Hubli Dharwar region, Bedti River is there. Then you have the Sharavati, Shumaga, right? So Jog Falls is on which river? Sharavati. It flows into the Arabian Sea. Then you have, so the rivers in the Goa region, what are the rivers you have? You have Mandovi and Zuari. So Mandovi, Mahadai, right? That is the dispute between Karnataka and Goa, right? Then you have in the Kerala region, what are the rivers that flow into the Arabian Sea? You have the Bharatapuzha River. Where does it originate? It originates in the Anaimalai Hills, right? There it originates. And you have the Periyar River, Pamba River, all these rivers flow into the Arabian Sea. Next, we will talk about the small rivers which flow into the Bay of Bengal, east flowing small rivers. So you have in the Odisha region, you have one river called Subarna Reka river is there. Then you have Baitarni and Brahmani in the Odisha. They also flow into the Arabian Sea. Then you have one more river in Andhra Pradesh called as Vamsadhara river. Then in Tamil Nadu you have Pennar, Palar and Vaigai. So these are the rivers that, so where does this Palar river originate? Pennar, Palar and Vaigai. Where does this Palar originate? So I was actually surprised that this Palar river originates in Nandi Hills in Karnataka and it flows to Tamil Nadu. I was surprised. I will check it. Palar origin. Yes, Palar originates in Nandi Hills and it flows to Tamil Nadu, right? So this is about the rivers which flow into the east, small rivers. Next, we will talk about the river regimes. What are the river regimes. So regime means the seasonal variation. Does the rivers have water throughout the year, or does it have for a small period? So that is the river regimes, right? So if somebody asks you to define a river regime, you can say the pattern of flow of a river over 1 year. Over 1 year, how does the rivers flow? That is the river regime, right? So second. So we will first talk about the difference, comparison between Himalayan and peninsular rivers. So what is the difference? It will be asked in your exam. So Himalayan rivers, they originate in the Himalayan mountains, Himalayan glaciers, whereas peninsular river, they originate in the peninsular plateau, right? So this Himalayan rivers are perennial, that is throughout the year, right? So they receive water from glacier and rainfall, both. Whereas the peninsular river, they are seasonal. That is, they depend on the monsoon rainfall. Next they have antecedent and consequent rivers. That is, antecedent is that river which doesn't change its channel, flow pattern, whereas consequent is river. River is that river which changes its pattern with the upliftment of the mountain. If the river changes its pattern, it is called as a consequent river, right? So here you find dendritic pattern. Dendritic is tree-like pattern in the Himalayan river, whereas here you have superimposed pattern. Superimposed means mountain is there. On that mountain, the rivers doesn't change its course. It is fixed course, right? That is a superimposed mountain, a superimposed pattern. Here you have trellis, radial and rectangular pattern. Trellis I have discussed. So 90 degree, if a river tributary comes and joins, that is trellis. Radial is from the mountain, if the rivers flow in all direction, that pattern you will find in the peninsular plateau. Next you have these rivers have very long course. They are having very high length, and also they flow through rugged mountains. That is, they flow through the mountains, and you will find the headward erosion. Headward erosion andre that is, so if the mountain is there, if a river is flowing like this, it will cut the mountain backwards also. Not only where the river flows, backward also it will cut. So that is headward erosion you will find in the Himalayan rivers, right? You won't find the headward or towards the head of the river if the erosion is not found in the peninsular rivers, right? So yeah, headward erosion, river capturing, all those things. What is river capture? I will discuss. So let's say there are two rivers flowing like this. So what happens? This later over thousands of years, what happens? There is this river will get cut here, and this river joins this river. So this river is captured by this river. So this is river capture. This headward erosion and river capture is found in the what? Himalayan rivers, and also you will find meanders in the Himalayan rivers. So here you don't find any meanders. Here you have U-shaped valleys or shallow valleys you will find in the peninsular plateau, and it is having fixed course. It doesn't change the course. And catchment area. What is the catchment area? So Himalayan rivers have very large basins. Big basins it will be having, whereas peninsular rivers will be having very small basins, right? And then age of the river. So here I told you, the rivers will be found in the young or youthful stage in the Himalayan system, whereas in the peninsular rivers, you will find old rivers. They are mature rivers and they have almost reached the base level. What do you mean by base level? Reaching the base level, that is, let's say if the mountain is there, if a river is flowing like this, so this mountain will be getting eroded and it will become flat. That is, the river has reached the base level. So that you will find in the peninsular system. This is the difference between the Himalayan river system as well as the peninsular river system, right? So talking about the river regime, that is the pattern of flow of river over a 1 year is a river regime. So when you measure the regime of a river, one certain parameters are important. So the first parameter is the discharge of river. So what is the discharge of river means? So the volume of water in the river is called as a discharge, right? So how does the volume is measured? It is measured in cusecs. So Karnataka Kaveri dispute, Supreme Court gives a order, Karnataka has to release this many cusecs. That is how the volume is measured. So if you talk about the regimes, so apart from the measures, regime, if you talk about the regime of individual rivers, so you have Ganga river has monsoon regime. Means what? Ganga river receives water from both ice as well as monsoon rivers, monsoon rainfall, right? That is Ganga monsoon regime. Then if you talk about the regime of Narmada river has maximum output or maximum discharge in the month of August and it will fall in the October. That is why, because it is dependent on monsoon rainfall. That is why Narmada has maximum discharge in the August. Next you have Godavari also has maximum output or discharge in the in the monsoon time. Later on it will reduce, right? So what is the usability of river water? The last concept, how is the river water is used? So this rivers causes floods, because of which the flood plain is formed. The flood plain is having rich soil deposits which is used for agriculture. That is one use. Then you have the rivers can be used for hydroelectricity generation, irrigation purpose, agricultural purpose, navigation purpose. All these things it can be used, right? So then you can build dams on them to save water. All these are the uses. So certain problems with respect to rivers in India or across the world, the rivers are getting polluted and there is accumulation of silt. Silt andre, right? So silt is actually if the depth of the river reduced because of the accumulation of sand, mud or waste, that is a silt accumulation. And also the other problems is certain rivers are seasonal in India. They are having a seasonal approach. That is, they change. From one season they will be having high output, other seasons they will be having low output. That is the seasonality of rivers in India. So this concept concludes the concept of rivers in India. Next, we will talk about the climate in India. Climate is the new chapter. So what is climate? So first we need to discuss the difference between weather and climate. So weather is short-term change over a period of days or weeks. What is the change of surroundings, environment? That is the weather. What is the change in temperature, precipitation, pressure? That is weather. Whereas if you measure the surrounding parameters, temperature, pressure, all these things, rainfall over a long period, let's say 40 years, 50 years, that is called as the climate. So if today it is raining, they will ask you what is the weather. They won't ask you what is the climate. But if you talk about the climate of or the parameters of Himalaya, you will ask what is the climate of Himalayas, right? That is the difference. Weather, short term, climate, long term, right? So the climate of India is having a monsoonal type of climate. So it is actually called as hot monsoon type climate is, or the warm monsoon type of climate is the climate of India, overall India, right? So what is this monsoon type of climate? It is based on the climate based on the seasonal reversal in the direction of the winds. So what do you mean by seasonal reversal? So you have the boundary of India here. So in the summer months or the rainy season, the winds will be blowing from oceans to land, right? In the winter season, the winds will be blowing from land to ocean. So this is the seasonal. With the season, the wind blowing changes. That is the monsoonal regime. So India has a hot monsoonal climate or warm monsoonal climate. So this is this type of climate you will find in the South and Southeast Asia, or the entire region you will find. So whenever we talk about India, we have used this term called as unity in diversity. So what is unity? And there is ekate, vividhateyalli ekate. So unity, what is the uniting factor? And the monsoon is also a uniting factor, right? Monsoon climate. So does it mean the entire India has a similar monsoon climate? No, there are regional variations as well. So if you take up the entire India, there are small regions where there are different types of climate. So but if you take up the overall India, it is actually the monsoonal type of climate what you are going to find, right? So there are many subtypes. So these regional variations are called as subtype of climate. So this regional variation, on what factors does it depend? It depends on the temperature and precipitation. Based on the temperature and precipitation, you will find the regional variation. So for example, if you talk about the regional variation with respect to temperature, you take up the example of Rajasthan. Rajasthan having the highest temperature 55 degrees Celsius. Leh, Ladakh is having minus 45 degrees Celsius. So even though we say it is monsoonal climate, see the extremes of temperature 55 degree, minus 45 degree. This is the regional variation. Not only regional variation, you have seasonal variations as well. What is seasonal variation? So you take the climate of Delhi. In winter, it goes into minus degree. In summer, it goes up to 45 degree, right? So that is the same thing with respect to Punjab and Haryana as well. So seasonally, the temperature varies. So one is the regional. Regional, you can take the example of Northeast India, Rajasthan, Leh, Ladakh, South, all these are variations. So season, if you take South India, the temperature, the climate doesn't vary much. So it is almost similar throughout the year. But in North India, you will find the Leh, if you take Leh and Rajasthan, there is regional variation. Seasonal variation, that is in different seasons, climate is different. That also you will find. Then you have diurnal variation. What is diurnal variation? Over a day, in the day and night. So for example, if you take Rajasthan desert, daytime it will cross 40 degree, night time it will come up to 5 degrees Celsius. So in the day itself there is lot of variation, day and night. That also you will find. This is with respect to temperatural variations. Next we will talk about the precipitation, variation in the rainfall. So in the rainfall you have difference between June and, so in the June month you will have lot of rainfall because of monsoon up to from June to September, but November, December you will not having any rainfall, right, or very less rainfall. So that is one difference. Then you have the coastal region, that is Tamil Nadu. So Tamil Nadu, you will not find rainfall during the monsoon, whereas you will find the rainfall in the northeast monsoon, that is October, November, they will be having rainfall. So this is the precipitation variation. So where temperature also varies, precipitation also varies within India, right? This is the different variations. So what are the climate determining factors? what factors determines the climate in India? So the first climate determining factor is location and relief. Location and relief is the first climate determining factor in not only in India, everywhere. First we will discuss with respect to India. So with respect to location, if you talk about location, we have to talk about the latitude. So when we talk about latitude, so what determines the climate? The first thing is Tropic of Cancer. So Tropic of Cancer passes through India, right? Through the middle of India. So that will determine the climate. So the north of Tropic of Cancer, you will find temperate climate, right? Towards the north of Tropic of Cancer, you will find temperate climate. Towards the south of Tropic of Cancer, you will find tropical climate. So temperate climately, you will have extreme climates. That is extreme winter, extreme summer. Winterly, it will go up to minus 45 degree, and summer it goes up to plus 45 degree. So you will find extreme climates in the temperate. Towards the north of Tropic of Cancer, towards the south of Tropic of Cancer, you will find high temperature throughout the year. So here there is not much variation. So the temperature is high throughout the year. Why? It is close to equator. This peninsular region, you will find high temperature. So ಇಲ್ಲಿ range ಇರಲ್ಲ, there is no variation towards the south of Tropic of Cancer. Towards the north of Tropic of Cancer, there is lot of variations in the temperature, right? Next, with respect to location, the first factor is latitude, that is Tropic of Cancer. Second is Himalayan mountains. So that also determines the climate within India. So Himalayan mountains, it acts as a climatic divide. What is climatic divide? See, towards the north of Himalayas, so you will find China type of climate. So that climate will not have come to India. Why? Because Himalaya acts as a barrier. So here, what happens? Towards the north of Himalayas, so in the Siberian region, that is in the Arctic region, from Arctic region, cold winds will flow towards the south. So that cold winds is blocked by the Himalayas, or else the entire India would have become very cold. So it is blocked by the Himalayas, right? So it acts as a climatic divide or a shield. So it acts as a shield against the cold northern winds. Not only that, it prevents the monsoon winds from crossing the Himalayas. So monsoon winds, whatever go, they come back and fall within India because Himalaya acts as a barrier, right? It acts as a monsoon trap. Next, you have the land and water distribution. So with respect to location, so you look at the location of India. Towards the north you will find mountains, whereas towards the west, towards the south and towards the east you will find oceans, right? So what happens? There is lot of water, there is lot of land. So what happens? There is differential heating. What do you mean by differential heating? So I have told you, land heats up faster and cools down faster, whereas ocean heats up slower, cools also slower. So because of which the temperature will vary. When the temperature varies, the air pressure will also vary. With the temperature, air pressure will also vary. So it will lead to reversal of wind. So temperature varies, pressure varies. Why? So if there is, so in the summer, let's say in the summer there is high temperature. When the temperature is high, pressure is lower. Whereas here in the summer, ocean is comparatively colder. It has not heated up because it is slowly heating up. So it is colder, because of which high pressure. High pressure here, low pressure here. The wind flow from high pressure to low pressure. Right? So that is the and in the winter, exactly opposite happens. Here it is low pressure, here it is high pressure. Because it is colder, it is warmer. So the wind flows from high pressure to low pressure. So wind will get reversed, right? So this air pressure variation you will find in different seasons also. There is air pressure varies, right, in different seasons also. So next is distance from the sea. So we have a long coastline. That also determines the climate. So regions here have the extreme climates. Regions here have moderate climate. We will discuss that tomorrow. We will end the class here. So if you have any doubts, please comment in the comment box and also get in touch with our Telegram channel. Please take good care of your health. We will catch up tomorrow. Jai Hind. Namaste.